Heute ist Tag 2 unserer Special-Vortragsreihe von und mit Dr. Vignesh, die ich selbst aufgenommen habe 2019 in Indien, als ich dort meine Panchakarma-Kur gemacht habe. Er hat diese Vorträge gehalten für alle Teilnehmer, die da in ihrem Aufenthalt waren, und ich durfte sie aufnehmen. Heute geht es um Gefühle und unsere Gesundheit und wie diese Gefühle unsere Heilung beeinflussen.
When we are sad, things in our body can also go low. Our immune system can go low. Just understand blood pressure. Can you imagine blood pressure is called as a disease of unknown origin? And how many times did we say, I don't want to tell him because it will increase his blood pressure? Do you understand this? Blood pressure is completely a psychology. 90% of the blood pressure is of unknown origin. The rest 10%, it could be some hormonal variation, or it could be some issues with your arterial walls. The moment we get stressed, the blood has to circulate more, just like I told you about cortisol. The blood pressure is some pattern just like that.
Ich bin Dana Schwand mit Da ist Gold drin.
Willkommen zu Tag 2 der Special-Vortragsreihe. Ich freue mich, dass du wieder da bist und hoffentlich auch so begeistert über Vignesh und all sein tiefes Wissen ist. Heute geht es darum, welche Rolle Stress und Emotionen spielen, wenn wir krank werden, und wie das die Heilung beeinflusst. Und es geht auch darum, warum Gefühle wesentlich sind für Krankheitsentstehung, beziehungsweise wie wir Stress durch einen einfachen Mindshift sofort verringern können und warum wir unsere Krankheit und Wehwehchen lieben sollten, man höre und schreibe, und was die Frage ist, die wir uns eigentlich stellen müssen, wenn wir krank werden. Er spricht auch darüber, was der Atem mit all dem zu tun hat und welche Einstellung uns sofort gesünder macht. Also wirklich wichtige Themen. Hör unbedingt rein. Ansonsten, wie immer, verlinken wir natürlich das Sitaram Beach Retreat, also sein Resort und sein Mastermind-Programm, was er anbietet, Ayurvedic Healing and Beyond für Ayurveda-Praktiker, Mediziner, Gesundheitscoaches und Heilpraktiker in den Shownotes, und guck dir das unbedingt an, das ist richtig cool. Und dann wie immer kurz in eigener Ayurveda-Sache zu meinem Buch, wenn du Bock hast, mit mir zu detoxen. Ich würde mich nämlich so freuen, ich habe ja mein neues Buch auf den Markt gebracht, Anfang Januar, in Kooperation mit Stefanie Schnicke, meiner lieben Freundin und Kollegin. Und ich mache eine Live-Begleitung zu dem Buch. 11. bis 18. März für nur 49 € möchte ich mit dir gemeinsam unter der Anleitung des Buches detoxen. Es gibt 3 tolle Workshops, es gibt eine Facebook-Gruppe, es gibt richtig viel zusätzliches Wissen. Du kannst alle deine Fragen stellen, wir meditieren, es wird gigantisch. Sei dabei, alle Infos auf ichgold.de/easydetox-week. Aber jetzt geht's los mit dem Vortrag.
Okay, today we are talking about our stress, emotions, and how it is going to influence our healing and health. By the way, when we say health, what does the word health mean to you? Any idea what the word health means? We have many definitions, right? Health means absence of disease or feeling connected. What does the word health mean? Vitality. Yes, vitality, in other word, is actually meaning energy, right? Does that make sense? When we say health, what we actually mean is, I want to be energetic. I want to spend time with this person because I feel good energy. I want to go to this place because I feel the energy is good. I want to eat this food because my energy is good. Is that clear? And I want to, the reason why people eat and what people don't eat is also because of their energy. Do you understand? Somebody drinks alcohol to get that energy. Somebody don't drink that alcohol because I don't want that energy next morning. It's just that idea. So, do we understand health means energy? By the way, where do we get energy from? What is the source of energy? Yeah, like some of the sources. Yeah, breath, food. How many of you felt tired after having food? Do you understand? After having food, you feel bloated and you don't want to do anything. What else? Okay, breath for sure. If you within 3 minutes we can die if you don't get breath. And some people say sleep. Okay, if it is sleep, then what happens? Yes, of course. I mean, we have so many reasons for that. Okay, are we having? Okay. So what we are talking about is, we talk about various sources of energy. But there is one aspect of energy that we need to know. See, I have been consulting many kinds of diseases. And like I told you, being an Ayurvedic doctor means you are a doctor for the leftover diseases of the modern patients. And modern medicine, if they cannot treat you with their pills, they have no other choice. They give you a reason. What cannot be cured has to be endured. Do you understand? You have to live with it, live with a painkiller or a cortisone or a antidepressant. And that's the ultimatum that they give for the life. So these are the most kind of people. I'm not talking about what we see here. In general, I see a lot of such cases. And then when I go deep into their conditions, I see a lot of aspects with how our emotions and our health are connected. And the medicine is still, again, very far away from understanding to what extent our emotions can influence our energy levels. Now, when we say, food, after having food, we can feel tired, right? Now, have you seen somebody is sitting so depressed, no energy, they don't want to do any movement or anything. So, you see somebody is sitting stressed, they don't have any energy, they are sitting like this. And suddenly somebody comes and gives a very good news. Suddenly that energy goes up, right? Where does that energy? There is no sugar or Red Bull, nothing goes inside, but the energy just goes up. From where does that energy come from? Do you understand? There is something inside here, and that we can also call it as emotion. Now, after I started seeing many changes when people's emotions get better, the healing is far, far better. When a person's emotion is, see, when you're feeling good, even a big problem might be small. When your emotion is slow, when you're sad, depressed, even a small thing can become big. Do we understand this? See, that is why stress is actually lack of energy to face the reality. Do you understand? When our energy is slow, everything looks like a confusion. I'm not able to do that. We become in a closed mindset. So, when we say emotion, actually, I just looked it up, what does the word actually emotion means. And it has an origin from the word called as emovere. This means to disturb. Now, how important is emotion in our life? Now, people say it is important, but how important is it? Very important. Well, let me tell you, it is the most important thing. A little more closer. Do you agree to that? I mean, you all traveled here thinking that, okay, if I come here, I can relax, I'll get good health. By getting good health, I can feel good, right? I want to travel there because by going there, I'm going to feel good. I want to spend with this person because I will feel good. Does that make sense? So, emotion is what makes us do and what makes us not do. People fall sick because of this, people became healthy because of this. We fall in love because of this, we separate because of this. We fight and we create wars because of this. And if you look at history of the world, it is actually the history of emotions. Does that make sense? Now, it is quite interesting to understand our emotional patterns. Now, we will go to that. You can also?
Can you move the board back? Or can you use different colors? Yeah. Or different colors? Blue or black or something?
Yes, blue. From darkness we come to light. Okay, now few aspects about emotions. Most of us are on autopilot emotions. Do you know what that means? Autopilot means like the manual car. You don't have any conscious thought. How this comes about, there was a Russian scientist, you know, Ivan Pavlov. There was a dog, bell, food. Dog, bell, food. But dog, bell, but no food. But still the dog started salivating. Right? Because our brain loves to predict and connect the cause and effect. Just to give you an example, you know, in India we have this cricket match happening. Cricket is another game, not the animal. We have a match happening, and just few months ago we had a World Cup. And India was playing against just our worst enemies, Pakistan. So whenever a cricket match is happening, I have a friend, he loves to watch the match, we all will sit together and watch. 2 matches India won because he was sitting on one chair in one position. After that, he believes it is because of his ability to sit there, India is winning. You know, sometimes we also think, you know, if I'm sitting here, things are doing well. That's how our brains are. Brain loves to connect the cause and effect. The problem is, when we say we are on autopilot mode, the good news is that we can change that. The bad news is if we don't change, we run in that autopilot mode. Which means when somebody says, I don't know, I have anger problems, what that person is saying, I have trained myself so hard to get angry all the time. Do you understand? That's what I call it as autopilot mode. Now, there was a research done on people who are getting heart attack and they die of the first heart attack. They did not survive from the first one, you know. And the researchers were trying to understand what is common between these people who got heart attack who did not survive. So they were trying, is it the race, is it the food that they were having, or is it a kind of particular age group, or is it belonging to some particular community? They couldn't find anything common, except finally they found out all of them were extremely dissatisfied with their job. So what happens when you are upset with your job? When you are upset, how is your energy in your body? Like we said in the previous day, you know, when we are stressed, there is this hormone called as cortisol. Cortisol is a hormone that is released to your extremities, like your hands and on your feet, to escape. When there is a stress, what happens? You need energy to fight. You need energy to solve the problems. But our brain was created 200,000 years ago. At that time, our problems were different. We were worried, will a lion come and eat me up? Do I have to worry about tomorrow's water? Will there be something else? Today, we don't have that, and our brain is not updating every September. You know, it's the same brain that we have today, but the problems have reduced. So what is happening? This cortisol will come to your extremities even if a dog is running after you, or even if you are not happy with somebody did not like your Facebook page. Do you understand? The cortisol release is going to be the same for both when you are stressed and when this is coming. But when we are getting stressed for this minute things, what is happening is, when your extremities are having all the energies, your inner organs, they lose the right resources from our blood. Do you understand? If a dog is running after you, you are trying to escape for life. At that time, your body is least concerned if there is a bacteria in my foot. You know, it doesn't want to recover from that fungus or bacterial infection. It wants to survive. Only if you survive, you can fight against that bacteria later. Does that make sense? Now, nobody teaches how to deal with stress. We all are told, and nobody in the history of planet got relaxed by telling don't stress, you know. The moment you tell them, they get even more stressed out. You don't understand me. You are getting me on the wrong side. That is what happens with the cortisol. Now, let me explain to you how our emotions and our body can be connected. In Ayurveda, we have a concept called as prayaschitta. The word prayaschitta actually, literally, it actually means penalty. For example, you want to avoid an exam that is going to happen in 2 days. And you are full of fear. Oh my God, if I write that exam, I did not study, and if I am not able to appear for that exam, I can fail. If I fail, people will come after me, then I will be judged as a failure for life, then there is no future for me. My parents will kick me out. This monkey mind starts running on the back of our head. Then somehow out of a blue, the body creates a fever. And you don't have to write that exam. Have you observed this? Do you understand? I have created such fevers a lot of times. Especially we have a language called Hindi, which is from another planet for us. And we don't speak that at home. Even when you go outside, nobody speaks. Just one single teacher in the classroom tries to speak Hindi and you have to write that exam. And if you fail that, everything is gone. So I created fever to avoid that. Then later I realized, even though I am sick, but deep inside I am so happy that I don't have to appear for that exam. And if you get a chance to read this book, Love Your Disease. I forgot the name of the author, but I can tell you. There are 2-3 sequels for this book. This book, he has written a fantastic examples of his practice. If somebody goes to him with a disease, he will say is congratulations. Now tell me, how is this disease helping you in your life? For example, I had a personal experience. A few years ago, there was a patient with severe psoriatic arthritis. You know what is psoriasis? The skin can just flare up. And this was to such an extent so bad, she cannot walk with bare hands observed. So she has to cover all her hands and sometimes even put gloves in the hot summer so that it doesn't look bad. And later it turned out to be a different kinds of arthritis. If the psoriasis is not treated for a long time, later the inflammation can reach to your joints and it can create stiffness in the joints. So she was going to many different modern doctors and getting different varieties of cortisone. And cortisone helps you to some extent, and then the body can become saturated. You know, it cannot tolerate that anymore. Then somebody told her, maybe you should try something like alternative healing, like Ayurveda or homeopathy. And then somebody told her, okay, go to Ayurveda, and she ends up. And till then she was doctor shopping, and then she comes and I am having this kind of severe psoriasis. They told me Ayurveda can help. Do you have something? Then the first days you prescribe something, change her diet and do all the things. Within 2 weeks she comes back and say nothing changed. It's the same. And I was thinking, oh my God, am I going to be in the list of the doctors shopping? This is my thinking. And then after some time I asked, when do you get this psoriasis the worst? And she said sometimes in the evening, sometimes, but I don't know. And then have you ever thought when it got the worst? Okay, after some time she started crying and she said something. During her childhood, she was physically abused by her uncle in a very bad way. And after that she got into a deep fear, like fear means, you know, like panic attacks, and being a little child, she went and told this to her mother, and mother panicked because if something comes to known in the family, then her brother is gone, because this is something very bad for the whole family to know. So she did not listen, and in fact she told, don't worry about these things and just let her. This child afterwards, she could not trust a man anymore, because that was the situation. Just like the Pavlov's dog theory, you know. After she got married, whenever her partner wanted to be close to her, she created the psoriasis wonderfully. This was the way she kept herself away from that. And once that was revealed, she told me that she never told this to anyone. And after doing some works on that, without any medicines, that was gone. I'm not saying most of the psoriasis we got it treated. I'm just telling you one of the live examples that I saw. That got me so much interested into this topic. Then I realized more and more people have to understand what are their dominant emotional patterns that they are going through, and you can completely analyze what is the health that they are going through. Okay, there is also some signs that say if you get angry, your liver can be a problematic. If you have too much of guilt, it can also affect your kidneys. if you have too much of suffering and sadness, it can affect your lungs. I mean, there are many healers who come up with such theories, but we all know that when we are sad, things in our body can also go low. Our immune system can go low. Just understand blood pressure. Can you imagine blood pressure is called as a disease of unknown origin? And how many times did we say, I don't want to tell him because it will increase his blood pressure? Do you understand this? Blood pressure is completely a psychology. I mean, 90% of the blood pressure is of unknown origin. The rest 10%, it could be some hormonal variation, or it could be some issues with your arterial walls. The moment we get stressed, the blood has to circulate more, just like I told you about cortisol. The blood pressure is some pattern just like that. So, we also have a saying in our language, when a cat falls on a boiling water, and if it gets burnt, every time it sees water, the reminder of the burns can come back. And the beauty of our brain is, either it can continue in that autopilot, or we can change that pattern. See, if I have a wound here and my friend has a habit, let's go and hold here. That friend is, whenever the friend comes and hold, either I can give a knee-jerk reaction and shoot him, or I can say it is this wound that is creating this. Do you understand? Have you heard the statement, don't kill the messenger just because you don't like the message? All the great civilizations, they collapsed. You know why? Because the top people don't want to listen to the message if the message is bad. If they don't like the message, they would just shoot the messenger. And then what happened? That became the deterioration. So, how do we understand the message first? And first of all, the word emotion, we understood it has something to do with our energy. Like, if you are angry, your energy is that. If you are sad, there is an energy in your body. If you are excited, your energy is different, irrespective of what kind of sugar, Red Bull, tiramisu you had in your body. It's only about your emotions, your energy point. Emotion is like that fuel energy, like the speedometer. It is telling you, not the speedometer, what do you call it? The fuel tank. To what extent is your resource in your body? Do you understand that? If you feel you are feeling low, it just means that your energy is low. Emotion is like that energy indicator. What is your state of energy right now? Do you get that? So, when you look back, if you feel you have been stressed a lot, that means throughout your life, your energy in your body has also been like that. We don't have to be a psychologist, right? You can know when a person is walking, what kind of energy that person is having, right? And that is why we also have a lot of attention on the posture. When a person is sitting like this, we know what kind of an energy that person is having, what kind of emotions that person could have. And you know that when a person is standing like this. That is why posture also has a lot of rule with that. But when it comes to understanding emotions, one of the first aspects that are told in many of the yogic teachings and also spiritual teachings is about something called as, you have a tree, when the wind is blowing, the whole tree is going to shake. If it has two strong branches, it is not necessary that you have to hold on to the whole tree. Just by holding one branch, you are able to handle the other branch as well. Does that make sense? I mean, it's not that completely, but it will help to minimize the shake. So, if one branch is your emotions, your other branch is what we call it as breathing. A person who breathes deeply is more mindful and aware about his emotional patterns than a person who is breathing shallow. Does that make sense? Now, imagine you are stressed. Somebody comes and tells you the problem that you are facing is solved. What is the next thing that we tend to do? There is a huge, we take in and release, right? And that is the power of breathing. It's like chicken and egg.
Also, so to say, psychologist level, they actually say that when you add the breath, it actually switches over to the right side of the brain. Your emotions are running through your left side of the brain, so when you breathe, you actually start using the right side of your brain.
Okay, I haven't gone detailed into that.
Okay.
I'm not aware of that fact, but
it switches.
You're talking about the right and left brain, and when you are aware of your breath, you use one part of your brain.
The breathing switches you out of emotion.
Mm-hmm.
From the left to the right.
Yes. The purpose of this talk, it's also a marketing class for tomorrow's 6 a.m. breathing session. We are wanting you to come for the 6 o'clock if you have not attended. 6 o'clock session is all about breathing. And why we do that? Just to give you an understanding, do you know what is the longevity of a dog? How long does a dog live? 15 years. An elephant lives up to 70 to 80 years. And turtle can go up to 150 to 200 years. Do you know what is the number of breaths a dog takes per minute? It's about 32 per minute. An elephant takes about 12 per minute. A turtle takes about 3 per minute. I'm not saying you should try this. It's just for your understanding. You know, to what extent our breathing can influence. Now, I will go a little more detail about what happens when we breathe. See, among all the animals and humans, the difference is in our human body, every activity can be classified into voluntary and involuntary. You know, voluntary means now I am talking. This is my voluntary activity. My heartbeat, I don't get up and say, now I have to make my heart beat. You know, imagine how our life would have been if we have to go through those millions of activities that are happening inside without our consciousness. It is something that is happening without our knowledge, right? So, what is happening without our ability to do it or without our unconscious is the what we call it as involuntary work. And then the voluntary work is what I do it consciously. In every activity that we do, we can classify it into both. But there is one activity that can go into both. Do you know what that is? Breathing. You can be conscious about your breathing. At the same time, if you forget, the body will take over, right? And that is why in most of the spiritual teachings and the yogic lessons, they emphasize so much on breathing. In Ayurveda, when we call stress is more about vata. And vata is mostly about your breathing also. See, when a person says, I am having anxiety, what is that person saying? I have a tendency of breathing like a dog. You know, breathing from the chest. Now, let us just take some of the emotions. Now, see, in modern psychology, there are over 6,000 words for every emotion. Half of them makes us feel good, half of them makes us bad. So, let us just take some of the emotions. What? Happiness, happy, joy, what else? Passion, excitement. Do you know what is the opposite of happiness? We think it is sadness, but it's actually boredom. And then you have frustration. Then it becomes anger. Then sadness, guilt, rage. It goes down. Now, if you observe, every emotion we will have a different pattern of breathing. Do you understand this? Every emotion is an indicator of the energy. It's like the speedometer, you know, like or we can also call it like a radio FM station frequency. This radio station has this frequency of our breathing, and the more you go up, the more deeper your breathing. Does that make sense? Now, my question, do you think, let's say anger or frustration, do you think frustration is important in our life? Do you think so? Do you think anger is important in our life? See, emotion is not bad. It is a messenger. It's only communicating some message. Don't shoot the messenger. Do you understand? And it is only people who got frustrated change the world. You know, if I'm happy, I don't want to change anything. You know, one man got thrown out of the train in South Africa. Then he got so frustrated, he wanted to throw out one empire. Do you understand? One lady got sent out to the front because of the color of her skin. She went on, and that led to a big revolution. Because it was the frustration. But the idea is, are we staying stuck or using that energy in a right way? When we get stuck here, this is going to eat us up. But if we use this in a right way, there are many ways we, you know, our brain is a control freak. It wants to control everything. We call it lizard syndrome. Do you know lizard syndrome? You know lizard, the gecko. The gecko, when it is on the top, the gecko feels it is because of the gecko's might, it is holding the ceiling. Do you understand what I am saying? Gecko feels it has the power to do that. The moment the brain feels I am not able to control the situation, the brain wants to control something else. It will look for the next easiest thing. It just needs something to control. You just give it something. Like a little baby, it wants something. If you don't get it, what you do? You distract that kid and give it something else. So it could control something. Same way, we all want to try to control things. And every emotion is an indicator of what is the level of your control. Does that make sense? And now there is a Stoic called as Marcus Aurelius. Have you heard about him? Okay, Marcus Aurelius, he made a very famous statement. The difference between people who are stressed and people who are relaxed. People who are stressed are trying to control things that they cannot. And people who are relaxed are trying to control things that they can. Does that make sense? We cannot control the weather. Yeah, maybe by planting more trees and changing that, but we could influence that. But when it starts raining, there is nothing we could do. Maybe we can decide, should we get the umbrellas? Should I get a raincoat? If it's snowing, maybe should I get my jacket or not go out? But if we are worried about the weather, what can happen? Do you understand this? The first time I went to Europe, I was so surprised. The roads are so good, you know, coming from a place like here. Nobody was honking. And I was very jealous. And then, first time I went to a toilet on the roads, I mean, you have to pay 50 cents. That is like 40 rupees in our currency. It's like what you pay for a lunch here. That is what you pay for that. And I was like, oh my God. But even in the toilets, you know, you could do surgery because that's the hygiene that is there. And then you go for the lecture and suddenly it started raining. And the rain started coming and then the lecture finished. People would come and say, okay, great lecture, but we are really sorry about the rains. And I was like, how can you be sorry about the rains? And I was thinking, oh, these people, they could control everything, but they just forgot about the rains, you know. That is why people who are so concerned about the weather go into depression much faster. Or maybe that's also why you fly to India, because you have sun. But the idea is, you know, we have to be conscious, what am I trying to control? If I am trying to control something that I cannot, then the result is you are going to be upset. Now, understanding all the emotion, it is like whenever you feel sad, whenever you feel angry, whenever you feel upset, instead of going to the knee-jerk reaction, you know what is knee-jerk reaction? Doctor hits something on the knee just goes up, right? You are not able to think. Instead, if I am able to observe and respond, you see the word responsibility, the ability to respond, right? When we are able to focus on our ability to respond, that is what makes us someone who is on the level of growth. Otherwise, we are going to be on an autopilot mode. Now, this gentleman that I told you who wrote the book Love Your Disease, he was talking about one of the couples came to his consultation for fertility reasons, like they were not able to conceive. The blood reports were showing everything was normal, everything was fine. The hormone levels were fine. The man is healthy, the woman is healthy, they have been trying for a long time, nothing is happening. And then this doctor asked this lady, have you ever been afraid of being pregnant? And then she said, no, then why would I come here? Then have you ever been afraid of having a baby or going through the child? And she said, yes, during my childhood I had a deep fear because one of her friend's mother had to undergo a divorce because after she gave birth, she became fat and the man ran away. So then she got it inside her head, if I am going to become a mother, that means I am going to put on weight and then this is not going to happen. And especially in such situation, our emotions can have such strong influence on our energy levels and the kind of disease that we create. See, every pain, it could also, when we talk about headaches, there are 4 reasons why we get headaches. One is dehydration. Second is if you have too much of mucus built in. Third is if your position of the neck is not correct. If you have been sleeping on the wrong position, if you are not on the right sitting posture, this can also create. The fourth one is stress. If you talk to people with migraine, they always say, oh, I got stressed and the pain came back. You ask people with allergic dermatitis, the moment they get stressed, they will have flare-ups. And you ask people, even constipation to a great extent has to do something with your mindset. It has to do something with our inability to let go of things. That is why in Ayurveda, we focus so much on relaxation therapies. Like one of the therapies that we do, pouring the oil here in the stomach, pouring the oil on your forehead, Shirodhara. Many people say, I just came here for Shirodhara. I don't want anything else. I don't even want to see the doctor. Just put me on Shirodhara. It is like that calms them down. There is an energy point that is there. There is an energy point in your stomach and also a good oil massage that is relaxing us. Now we spoke about breathing, right? And we spoke about some of the treatments. There is one thing that is like a safety valve to our body. Do you know what is a safety valve? Safety valve is like when you have too much of air in the tire, what do? You release that so that the pressure comes down. When you are having extreme internal pressure because of the emotions, one of the best things that can be released is good exercise. Now people think, so should I do exercise when I get stressed or should I exercise regularly so you don't get stressed? It is people who are exercising regularly, their tendency to have the knee-jerk reaction is way less. And it is also proven a person who is doing regular exercises have noticed that the blood pressure comes down without any need for beta blockers. Just that the pharmaceutical companies could not patent exercise. When you exercise, what happens? Every joint in your body is moving. And when you move every part, the blood circulation is better, you release lots of toxins and you feel lighter, you feel better. And when we talk about exercise, in Ayurveda it is told, exercise should be done in, there is a word used is Ardha Shakti. The word Ardha Shakti means half your strength. Now we have to understand there is a significant difference being fitness and health. Today, fitness means going to gym and doing that Olympic workout and being dead for the rest of the day. We are talking about doing an exercise that wakes you up. When somebody says, I am in depression, what that person is saying is, it's been a long time since I moved my body. I have a tendency of getting into depression means I have a tendency of not moving my body. Does that make sense? It's very rare to see a person who is regular in their exercise saying that I have a tendency of getting into depression. Why I say this? Depression and anxiety is the #1 disease today. It is not heart attack, it is not diabetes. And that is because of the lack of movement that we are having today. Now, there is also a few more techniques that we can practice every day. Like we said, our brain is a control freak. Now, when we say something is wrong, there is one speech that I saw of Swamiji. What he was saying is, you have a problem. Then what do you say? Do you have a solution, right? Then it's either yes or no. There is no third reason, right? You have a solution, is it yes or no? Okay, if it is yes, then why worry? And if it is no, why worry? And now people say, oh, this sounds so easy. This sounds so easy, but at the same time, worrying is also not so easy. I mean, practicing this could sound difficult, but at the same time, worrying is also difficult. Do you understand what we are saying? And one of the reasons why you come to a place like this is we release the need to make decisions. You know, people are worried what kind of decisions that I have to make every day. And the first thing I recommend you is stop reading news. This news runs on fear. When you are on fear, by the way, stress is also another code word for fear. You know, there is always a kind of fear that comes because of that. When we are fearful and when we are stressed, our body becomes so stiff. A stiff body will hold on to fat much faster, will hold on to toxins much longer, and your tendency to fall sick is much higher. And when you are relaxed, what happens is you release the toxins much faster, your muscles become loose, your ability to think and be creative is also very high. Are you getting me? And relaxation comes with, it's like a formula, like 2 hydrogen and oxygen gives you water. Same way, are we focusing on things that we can control? And in order to change that, there is one technique that we can follow up after this. That is, stop complaining. Do you know what happens when we complain? When we are complaining about anything, let's say the government, my prime minister, I don't like him. Or I don't like the government. Or whatever is the thing that you're saying, it is, you are just giving away your powers. Do you understand? Nature created us so that we have the power to influence and to change. But when you are holding on to something saying, it is only because of this, I am like this, what we are saying is, I don't have any power, so I have to live with this for the rest of my life. Do you understand this? The day we stop complaining and we take responsibility that I do have the choice to change things, you have no idea how our energy shifts. And there was a doctor called as Bernie Siegel. He has written a book called Love, Medicine and Miracles. In his book, he has told about when people are falling sick and they were told it is something terminal in nature, like terminal cancer. You know, they were about to die. And the doctor said, prepare to die. And he found out there are few people who came out of that terminal disease. And the doctor says, okay, it's time to prepare your will because you have to inherit whatever you have to the next generation. And then few patients said, no, I'm not going to die, and they overcame the terminal disease ultimatum. And he was trying to find out what was it inside them that gave them the ability to come out of that. It was just one simple thing. It was they took responsibility for their health. Instead of blaming, it is because of this, it is because of this, it is because of this, it is because of this world, I am like this. They realized, my health is my choice. My life is my choice. I am going to take responsibility of what I am going through. The day they took that, what happens? You start thinking, what is the choice that I have to choose? Does that make sense? The day you start taking responsibility of your life, okay, that happens when we stop complaining. That is when we tap into our true powers. It's not just about healing. It is not just about any terminal cancer. It is not just about coming out of some bankruptcy or things like that. We are talking about living, not just surviving in the life. And that comes with, see, a person who complains, you know, there are some kinds of people, no matter what you give them, they will find a reason to be upset. And there is another kind of people, no matter what happens, they will find a way to overcome that. And this complaining, it's a mindset that we learn from our childhood. When we hang around with people who complain, we also tend to complain. Either we move out or we tend to become like that. Or we try to influence by, I am responsible for that and I can change that. And if you cannot change, we know why worry. Does that make sense? So, if you see yourself complaining, see, I am not saying when you say stop complaining, tolerate whatever is happening. That is far from the truth. What we are saying is, instead of complaining and just letting everything like that, think where is it that I can influence and change. Do you understand this? When we complain, we are becoming half efficient and underutilizing the powers of our nervous system. That is when our blood pressure goes up. And what is blood pressure? It's like you are driving on a full throttle accelerator and you have your handbrake on. You know, that's when the engine heats up. And that is what is happening with the high blood pressure. The next thing, okay, now this has become a very big industry also. We talk about gratitude. In most of your rooms, we have a journal called as gratitude journal that you write about. You know, just like we train ourselves to complain, we can also train ourselves to be grateful about life. You know, more than 60 to 70% of the planet lives under $1 per day. If you have fresh water to drink, hot water to take shower and a roof on your top, we are above many of the problems that most of the people are having. And it's only about how we see things. It's the meaning that we are giving to things. And if there was a story, a lady was driving the car. Suddenly somebody overtook in a very rash way, you know, and she almost hit the tree. But she was a good driver, and then she reversed the car, overtook that gentleman, stopped him, pulled him out and asked, why did you do this to me? And that gentleman, out of tears, said, sorry, my mother is about to die. If I do not donate blood in the next few minutes, she may not be alive. What if this happens to you? How would your reaction be? We either take that man to the hospital in our car, or we immediately make way for him. But understand, the incident did not change. Just the meaning changed, you know. Like, whenever I drive in India, I always think everybody's mothers are dying. You know, especially when they overtake that way. And what we are saying is, gratitude, there is also another word that comes out of that is called as empathy. See, nobody deep inside wants to hurt anyone. It is just that that's the pattern that they have learnt. That's the only way I can hurt. Like I said, if I have a wound here, anyone who comes and touches, however nice they are, it is still going to hurt me, right? No matter how nice that person is. The same way, no matter how good that person is, if he has a wound, if I go and touch that, he is also going to be hurt. But when we are in a state of this, our ability to identify the wound is way better, and our ability to respond well is also better. We stop taking things personal in ourselves. Most of the stress related disorders are happening because we are taking things too personal. And that can change when we follow this, and that is why we have a book in your room. Just try it for like 1 week, every day for 10 minutes. Just write down few things you are extremely grateful. It's just the way you change your, focus. It's a rewiring of the brain. It is not the person who has all the material possessions who is happy. There is also a science that says when you have something, and when you miss it, this is the value you have for it. Do you understand? We appreciate the value of something when we don't have it. A rich person is someone who appreciates the value when he has it. So, the idea is to practice this every day in every opportunity. That is the one way when you are in a state of gratitude, our body relaxes much faster. Every emotion creates a chemical replica in our body. And whatever is your dominant emotion, that is how your body is going to react. And you can see it from the posture, you can see it from the skin, you can see it from the way they speak, the voice. Everything is a reflection of what is the dominant emotion that I am going through. So we spoke about breathing. Attend the 6 o'clock class. And we spoke about exercise. Then we spoke about some of the treatments that we do for relaxation. And we spoke about stop complaining. We spoke about practicing gratitude. And now you are in a very comfortable place where you are connected with nature. You have a beach, you have a beautiful garden, people taking care of you. But when we go back, take it a point to spend time in nature as often as possible. Stress related disorders have become way higher after the invention of computers. Before that, it was not so much. Because we are a person with human touch. We always need a human connection, which we are somehow dealing in a social networks today. But even then, we feel something is missing. And that is because we are not able to connect well. And that connection can happen with people and also with nature. And that is why nobody said, I went to forest and I came back depressed. There is an energy that happens there. And that energy, now we have also courses called forest bathing. You go to the forest and bathe in. Can you believe that? That how pathetic the society has become, that we don't even have time to spend in nature. I mean, some people call it great invention, but we have to look at it as something that is pity for our generation.
So, das zum Thema Mental Health. Ich hoffe, du konntest ganz viel mitnehmen. Ich finde, der war schon einfach so toll, so natürlich und so tiefgreifend und so fundiert. Also ich bin on fire. Alle Infos findest du in den Shownotes. Ansonsten geht es morgen darum, wie Frauen mit Ayurveda ihren Zyklus ins Gleichgewicht bringen können. Übermorgen geht es darum, wie du mit Mantren, Meditation und Bewusstseinstraining ein glücklicheres Leben führst. Genau, ansonsten Detox Week, ne? ichgold.de/easydetox-week, 11. bis 18. März. Sei dabei, ich würde mich so freuen. Liebste Grüße aus der Sonne Costa Ricas. Ich denke an dich und hoffe, dass wir uns morgen wieder hören. Deine Dana.